So I'll request my colleagues to observe the introduction.
Good morning. My name is Mohammed Chute, Senator Marsabit, member of this committee.
Richard Nyonka, Senator Kisii County, member of this committee.
Margaret Kamar, member of the committee. Welcome, Governor.
Good morning, Your Excellency and your team. Karibu sana. My name is Sylvia Nasambu. I'm the clerk of this committee.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Desmond Rasugo, clerk to this committee.
Okay, I'll give time to. Mheshimiwa Catherine, can you?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, team. This is Catherine Muma, Vice Chair of the committee. Senator.
Okay, welcome.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Amran Yunis, Fiscal Analyst to the committee. Good morning. My name is Angela Kagunyi. I'm the Legal Counsel to this committee. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monamisi Ali, Research Officer to the committee.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair. I'm Stanley Kikore, Media Relations Officer.
Good morning. My name is Gino Tino, Hansard in Audio Services.
Good morning, Edwin Mochama, a research intern.
I think I've introduced myself. Okay, I think I'll hand over to the Governor and his team. Maybe you can just make a quick introduction.
My team introduce themselves.
My name is Asha Abdi. I'm the Chief Officer of Finance.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Kiro.
Good morning. My name is.
To get clarification from you on
And I know we've had to move a meeting here and there, including this morning between Nairobi and Kuala Lumpur. The PM is here. We received him yesterday, and the exchange of documents is ongoing. Chair, indeed, this is a committee known to me. I've been a member. I've chaired it at some point. I'm very happy. I'd like to also just note to you that you have some of the best staff in this house, Amran and Sylvia. Amran actually helped us solve the biggest impasse in the Senate on the division of the formula for division of revenue. And so I'm glad that, and I know that the report you have is very well informed. Issues raised.
We proceed. I want the Senator for Nairobi to go on record. Mheshimiwa Sifuna.
Thank you, Chair, Governor, and your team. My name is Edwin Sifuna, Senator Nairobi. Apologies, I came in late.
Welcome.
Excuse me, Chair. I am not quite sure what the standing order is, but I am wondering why my brother Sifuna is dressed
a Garafian going to a market. I don't think he slept at home.
Actually made a statement in the House, requesting for, from committee of the store project.
Today.
This is good. It's a committee meeting, so we accept him to be there.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Go ahead.
The responses that we had subsequent supplementary budget. Chair, 22-23 financial year. You remember this financial year was...
I'm in the village.
Okay. Now you okay?
Sorry, I think that is Senator Catherine.
Can you hear me now? Catherine?
But I know there's a network in Kakamega. She is.
Go ahead.
Chair, so, financial year 22-23 was smack in the middle of the election. And so when we got in, there was actually late approval of the budget. The Assembly had placed the county on a vote on a... So effectively, the county was allowed to spend up to 50% of the recurrent estimates for the financial year under reference up to 31st December 2022. Consequently, this delayed the rollout of development expenditures during the first half of the financial year. Chair, also when we were keen to start and national. We were the first to move straight into e-procurement using the IFMIS modules, not the new application that there is. And Nairobi has had a long problem of fake LPOs just generated manually, and we said we need to put a stop to that. So, Chair, immediately after inception, we were keen on to roll out e-procurement operations with the primary objective of increasing effectiveness and efficiency, reducing costs, and ensuring a fair procurement process by providing equal opportunities for all parties. This change of management was necessary and impactful in the short run, but we realized delays in adoption of these practices caused by gaps in knowledge transfers. We had to do a lot of trainings, and this affected the output from sectors. So there was a technical challenge where the IFME system, which we have been using for e-procurement prior to the recently, this one that has been rolled out now, could not accept commitment of a project where the contractual sum was not equivalent to the budgeted amounts. Chair, some projects roll over, and so you're doing a certain phase of the project. So on manual procurement, it's very easy to do it. On IFMIS, it was not accepted that to be done. Chair, on the third question, or rather the third part of my response, under performance of projected on-source, during the period under review, Chair, we were keen to pursue long-term operational initiatives geared towards not only enhancing service to Nairobians, but also improving the revenue performance in the long run. And so, Chair, some of that included fully automating all the revenue streams. It included moving to what we call the unified business permit. Chair, before that time, Nairobians would have to get up to 6 different licenses to do business in Nairobi. You have to get a fire certificate, you go to another building for your advertising, you go to another place to get your food and hygiene, etc. And so that is when we were rolling out the UBP. These interventions were successful ultimately, but in the short run it affected because of delays in adoption. And Chair, if you look at the breakdown then of the on-source revenue, you will see a steady increase from the amount I found it at around 9 billion to the first year at must be 10.5 billion. And then we moved up, Chair, to 12.5 billion. The last year we've done around 13.8 billion. So there's a steady increase. Those interventions took time to bear fruit, but we moved from 9 or from 10 to now 14 billion. And this year we project 20 billion. So Chair, when you look at on-source revenue on its own, you can see a great increase. But if you compare it to your target, it is not yet the targeted on-source. But it is an improvement. It is the highest we ever collected. This year we target 20. And we're not just targeting blindly. We know the interventions we put in place, including passing laws like our county rating bill, regularization of unauthorized developments. There are many developments that over time have been done without them, coming into the system, and many developers have asked for that window, and many such interventions, Chairman. Chair, the compendium of projects undertaken in the county. So just to emphasize that point, a county can set a low target and surpass it. Chair, if I had put the target at 10 billion, you would be praising me that I have over-surpassed the target and done 13.8. And no county has done 13.8. But when I put my target at 19, you look like you have not performed, but in essence, you've actually delivered greatly compared to past trends. Chair, on the issue of projects, I have attached an analysis of the projects, Annex 1, in the volume that we have given. A list of the stalled projects and the reason. Chair, we say generally there are no notable stalled projects, but we have delayed conclusions. Usually you look at the medium term, and it is said it's told if there's no budget provided for it, it is not in your CIDP, it is not in your ADP. And so it's just the issue of resources. And I've listed how we're reviving each and every one of those projects and that we've provided for in the budget. This last financial year, Chair, we really resisted inclusion of new projects so that we can conclude all the projects that have been ongoing, because it is really a waste of taxpayers' money when you start something and leave it. The first financial year, Chair, I had to revive projects from the first administration that had completely stalled, and the second administration, like the Dandora Stadium, some of the fire stations, some of the social halls, and I'm glad that we've concluded and we've made quite some progress on those. Additionally, there were projects under the previous NMS and projects during this administration. We've discussed some of them in other committees. My senator had raised the issue of the health relay projects, which we discussed, Mama Lucy and Bagathi, Mutuini, that are now nearing conclusion at 80-90%, and some of those markets. There was a delay in novating some of these contracts from the national government. Remember, the Auditor General passed a position that all the pending bills under the metropolitan services be paid by the national government, because it was a national government entity during that period. They have had a delay. It is how they appropriate every year. They are not yet concluded. We found a pending amount of 16 billion that would have been very unfair to load onto the county government. Chair, there's also the list of these pending bills under development expenditure and generally in the county. Chair, if you look at that, list, Chair, when you came in, we found pending bills of 100 billion outstanding liabilities, which is a crazy amount. 100B, then you add the 16B under the metropolitan services. Chair, we have since reduced it from 118 billion to 86 billion. Chair, I think by all means, by all measures, that should be quite commendable. And there are a number of interventions we've made to reduce those pending bills, outstanding liabilities, including even negotiating with some of these suppliers, vendors, including legal services. We found a pending bill of 21 billion just for lawyers, which is, and I think we need to have that discussion at some point. And after the first task force which we put in place that looked at the legal fees, that was chaired by senior counsel, Kamudo Eganjo. He's not senior counsel, but he's a senior counsel for all intents and purposes. And also by my county attorney, we've been able to reduce that to around 10 billion. We've halved it already. And many are willing to negotiate. You know, you find one person charging the county 1 billion shillings, you know, for legal services, yet it can actually come down. We are now at 86 billion in terms of outstanding liabilities. We are currently undergoing a process that I've been able to appraise the Senate on, where 67 billion is about to be written off. A lot of these are on-lent loans to the county, to the city council, the defunct council, especially for water, infrastructure, lab trust, lab fund. Some are to government agencies or government-related agencies like Kenya Power, KRA. And so in our last discussions, and I've written, I wish I came with a letter which I can share, we agreed with the head of public service and national government that pending resolution of the 67 billion that now national government has acceded to owe us, and that is just on one issue, that is just on land at Embakasi Garrison. We're not talking about the contribution in lieu of rates owed to us by many agencies, including this House, Parliament, that is not paying rates to the county. We'll then have reduced it from 118 billion to less than 10 billion in a period of 3 years. And so we'll be in a stronger financial position as a county moving forward. Chair, the progress made by the county in implementing projects in the CIDP, we're in the third year of implementing CIDP. CIDP is a 5-year plan. All the projects in the approved budgets are selected. Once you do your CIDP, you can only have projects that are there in the ADP unless you do an addendum to amend it. And so we will be undertaking a midterm review of the CIDP this year because then we'll be smack in the middle of it. But we've provided in Annex 4 of the first volume a brief report on the CIDP implementation. An explanation of expenditure on personnel and monuments in the county. Chair, we hold that there is no expenditure in personnel and monuments in as much as it is high. Chair, we have an approved staff establishment of 23,761 staff in Nairobi. But we have in-post 19,000. So we've not yet gone over the establishment. And I always hold that Nairobi really is a service county. We actually need more staff. We are understaffed. If you even do a ratio of the number of national government staff vis-a-vis the population of Kenya, compared to the number of the population of Nairobi of 7 million being served by 19,000 people. In Nairobi, you want to see nurses and doctors. You want to see people sweeping the streets, cleaning the city. You know, we still are below. But all of this is an issue of a small pie, you know, sharing a small pie. Unless we make a bigger pie, you know. And I'll give you comparatively many cities. Population of 2 million people, 53,000 staff. Population of 3 million people, I know one with 75,000 staff, you know. One hospital, for instance, Mama Lucy Kibaki, alone, has 1,500, how many? 800 staff, members of staff. Mama Margaret needs 1,200 to fully implement it. And right now we're at, you know, a third of that. We're now about to complete 300 bed capacity in Mutuini. We're at 85 to 90%. That will need another, you know, few hundreds of staff. And so the solution that we are seeing as a county is then moving a lot of these entities into semi-autonomous corporations so that their payroll and staff is dealt with at that institution without transferring it to the national government. So that those ratios can align. But if you ask me, the one-size prescription for all counties that it must be this percentage doesn't make sense for some of the service counties like Nairobi, I think Mombasa, Kisumu, because the nature of development and the nature of services in a rural county compared to an urban county is extremely different, Chair. So I've said the problem has been underfunding through equitable share and unmet on-source potential. I would really want support from the Senate in our issue of on-source, especially on amounts owed to us by national government entities, parastatals, on contribution in lieu of rates, on way leaves, and I've seen a question as well here on the issue of Kenya Power being raised, because they need to also pay us. If you look at the amount of money owed to us on water bills alone, it's in the billions. Prisons are not paying DOD, and it's very hard to go and switch off DOD. A lot of these entities are not paying the county, and we are having that conversation. Chair, measures taken by the county to reduce our expenditure, as you've said, apart from revenue administration reforms, for me the issue is that the denominator is low. It is not the numerator. It is the denominator that needs to be made bigger. We have the potential of getting to even above 50 billion, but it needs partnership. I'll give you an example. Every city that I know of, the biggest source of revenue is property taxes. In Nairobi, with 250,000 parcels, there are only 50,000 accounts, And so many people, the burden is being carried by very few people. And it's a conversation we must have. We are the only city, and now we're moving into that in our new evaluation role, that is charging property rates on undeveloped site value. And so you'll find half an acre in Kileleshwa with one bungalow paying the same as the next door neighbor with 60 apartments. Yet the strain and the need is much bigger. So it's a conversation we must start having. We're happy at least you passed the National Rating Act and the regulations. There's some work the minister needs to do on guidelines and procedures, including the National Rating Tribunal. But we have done our part. We've done our county legislation on it. We've done our unauthorized, we have done regularization of unauthorized developments. We have done our, what else? Our finance bill and our schedule of charges and tariff policy and pricing policy. And so when that discussion happens, I think the Senate can actually help us have those conversations, because the biggest threat to devolution is underfinanced counties. Even now, as we hear the president talking about a 5 trillion plan, what we're saying is where are the counties in it? The counties need to be part of that, because if you want to move to first world, the counties must also be able to move along, because a lot of this is devolved. Chair, I don't know if you want me to go on or leave it at that for clarifications. Can I proceed? Or
yeah, proceed. Okay. You want to have some questions, you guys? Members?
Maybe if there are questions so far.
Senators?
Yeah, Governor, I'm still just going through your responses here. I don't know if the responses are exactly as what you're reading to us. For instance, you told us Mutuini is at what percentage?
Mutuini should be 80 to 85?
80.
90%.
Yeah,
90%.
Your own document says 35%, unless I have the wrong document.
I think that was by the time of, these responses were sent quite a while back. So Chair, we can update that. You remember there was an issue we discussed where it was novated, it's being done now between us and the national government.
The expectation would be that the documents that are placed before the Senate are updated records, because it's a bit confusing here. I have seen you've said City Stadium is complete. The Joseph Kange, the ground is complete in your document here.
Phase 1. The first phase was it's in phases. The contract is the phase. The first phase was the grounds. The drainage has been done. There is new turf. We've completed that on Joka Denge and on Joseph Kangede. Phase 2 that we're now doing in this financial year is the stands and the other facilities. Yeah, that was the contract.
Then, Governor, and through the chair, my concern would be that this document does not accurately represent the status on the ground. So as it is, it should be able to say that this was phase 1 and this is phase 2. I can see here Kahawa West Market was to take 7 months from May of 2024. And if you're saying as at this point, the document is talking about 45%, what is the status today?
I'll have to get it, but it's much more advanced. It's almost done.
Okay. I think
Chair, the questions were very specific as to the financial year.
I think your report is a bit obsolete because of the time you presented it. So it was earlier. And I think next time I want you to maybe give us an addendum on the same.
An addendum?
Yes.
Chair, we can supply that within this week.
So, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Because there is no point of waiting for another day. He can furnish us with documents maybe in the next...
Give an addendum on that, and then we can be able to know the status of the projects. Mheshimiwa, go ahead.
We can do that.
Now it becomes difficult for me to engage, Chair, when we don't have the current information. But Governor, you have given a very interesting definition of what a stalled project is. Now to just the kawaida person who voted for you and me in Nairobi, do you really think that definition accords to their understanding of what a stalled project is?
Maybe you can elucidate, Chairman.
If I go to Joseph Kangeve, the social hall there, and I don't find a contractor, I don't find anything happening, is it off for me to assume this project has stalled?
You would not call it a stalled project if either it is being procured or there's something going on, because before a contractor comes on site, there are many processes, Chair. If I were to be specific on the pace of projects, yes, there's been a challenge in many of these projects. Sometimes you already have a contractor, the contractor has raised certificates, the certificate has delayed, and so the contractor leaves site. And then in a week or two, you pay the contractor comes back. That is not a stalled project by the definition of, the full definition of it. But a stalled project is an abandoned project.
Exactly.
Where there is no budget for it, there is no plan around it, you're not processing it, there's no payment at the COB. Now that is what you call a stalled project. Chair.
Chair, maybe to help us, Chair, to help us move, can the senators make reference to specific documents or pages so that we are together and the governor can answer according to that? Because the truth is that we asked for information for 2022, 2023. And when we are specific on that one, the up-to-date one cannot be in this document unless we want to ask as additional information. So if we can refer to what we asked and the information provided, and if we feel it's sufficient or not, it might help us. Or help us also follow when the questions are coming from colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Also, from the governor, what I wanted to know is there is abandoned projects, stalled projects, and temporarily abandoned projects. So let me specify which are temporarily abandoned, stalled completely, or abandoned completely, so that we will know that they are going to be back maybe after a week or two or a month.
Chair.
The documents, I think you can get this, the list is already there, and the status of the project as it is. But of course, as he rightly said, is that the report was written earlier than expected now, and we will request an addendum on that. Give us the latest status of all projects.
Chair, you have given the guidance, and I guess that conversation will be better had in a situation where we have a current status.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is that these matters take really long before they are processed, from the time that the question is raised in the Senate to the time when we're having the engagement. But if it is possible, then, Governor, to have it within the 7 days that have been...
72, Annex 2. List of stalled projects. I think there's a lot of information on that. The names are there, and part of the status is there. So probably that will be...
Where is that, Chair?
This is what this one, invitation. What is it? You have that one? You have that document, yes. Page 72. 71 and 72.
Yeah, now this is interesting because you will see in the governor's own response, he's saying that there are no stalled projects in Nairobi.
Yeah, that's what actually I'm asking myself.
Then if you have an annexure of stalled projects,
yes.
the document is talking at cross purposes. But the direction that you have given is good, so that we
of
have...
course, I can say the delay due to lapse of time, like the NMS ones, and the money is already now, I can see 120 million given, like if you look at the construction and the completion of the works, mechanical what is Kibaki Hospital. If you look at the final reasons for delay, it seems already have been explained. Look at the number one, Kibaki Hospital, phase 2. But however, I think, Governor, I think you are not right to say there's no stall projects. Definitely there are some. Because you have inherited some of these projects from NMS. And I don't think you have that much of budget to just complete them on time. So,
yeah. Chair, I agree with you. You know, I just, you're not liking the word.
Yeah, because you said you revived them. You have revived them only.
We have revived. You see,
yes.
for instance, that one, at, well, I explained, I think in the last meeting, Senator, you were there, about a specific one at Mama Lucy. Mm-hmm. That now it is back on course. You know, we have done the recontracting. It had stopped because of the expiry when it was still at NMS.
Okay.
And so even when you
maybe
ask,
let me just help one thing. Let's agree on one thing, you know, and then them give us the project name, the status, what percent of work done, and what's remaining,
so
and
Chair,
maybe time of completion. When do you plan to complete it?
That might take more than 7 days.
Chair, point of order.
Yeah.
Chair, kindly allow me to register my presence.
Sorry, I just overlooked.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Paris Tobiko is my name, a member of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. So how long will it take? That will take you? How long will it take? How much time do you require for that?
Maybe 14 to 21. You have to take your project management units to each and every site. We have 85 wards. And there are very, very many projects in all the 10 sectors. And so we have to get the exact status. I wouldn't want to bring inaccurate information. If you give us that, then allow a written submission so that by the time it comes, it is up to date. Because we've had issues of scheduling here and there. And Chair, I would also like, because I know you're going to visit some of the projects, that we can actually look at some of those together. So I think 21 days be okay, economic planning? 21? Yeah, my chief officer tells me that is sufficient.
Thank you, Chair. There are two things that have confused me. Item number one is the governor has explained the pending bills that exist. He said the law firms had claims to your county. And I wanted to ask, the projects that you have, either those that are unfinished, those that are ongoing, and those that are previously undone, and there maybe, I don't know, you may have new ones. Is there a possibility that you could explain to us with some matrix what the pending bills are all on these projects, what they are? In other words, out of the ones which are pending bills, which were historically carried forward, right, when you came in as governor, then you come with the ones you've started, and if possible, you could just explain to us the ratios. Since you took over the governance of Nairobi City County, has the amounts of your pending bills, and I also listened to Governor You'd explain that you have actually brought out some of them down, but I'm now zeroing in specifically on the ones for the construction of the projects. Thank you.
Chair, I have a related question. Is it possible to ask?
Go ahead.
Your Excellency, thank you and welcome to the Senate. My question is derived from your answer on the stalled project. You say that there are no stalled projects in Nairobi, but you're talking about incomplete projects. So I would want to understand, one, whether the previous Nairobi County governments completed all the projects they began, so that you don't have any that is not stalled, or if you have been operating as a going concern, which is something that this committee would like governors to start doing, did you come in and proceed to place budget on uncompleted projects and completed them? And so we want to understand what you mean by incomplete and stalled. And I would want to know, hopefully we can get a list of what was begun in the previous governments, and whether you've completed those projects, and what has begun and is continuing. In your case, you're still in office, so therefore it might be delayed implementation. But we are concerned that both national and county government executives have billions of money sunk in projects which are abandoned merely because you didn't like your predecessor or you don't like those projects. So I did find the answer very clear on that, and it's absolutely important for us to get that as a committee.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. I want to also refer the members. If you look at your summary report in your folders, page 7, I think there's information there. The table is there. According to the submission of the county government in Nairobi, the total development many bills is 1.8 billion, 1.826 billion, of which 1.47 relates to completed projects. So maybe you could refer there for purpose of being updated. Maybe one thing I want to ask the Governor, Your Excellency, is that most of this bendy bill, I believe you have inherited from the NMS. Is there any ongoing understanding with the national government that the national government takes responsibility of some of these bills? Because these bills are just too huge for you to pay. So is there any negotiation ongoing?
Chair, if you look at Article 187 of our Constitution that provides for transfer of functions, it is normally when there is a need to assist one level of government be in a stronger position. That failed experiment left Nairobi worse off in terms of costs, because remember, the Nairobi county government through its assembly appropriated 27 billion shillings to that entity. The national government did some projects for that entity, but despite that, they left 16 billion pending. And so, because of that, in our first year, we had a huge, discussion. With that time, the office of the president, I think the status controller once even came to this house, and we agreed that those bills will be paid by the national government, including even gratuity for staff. So what we have seen them doing, because they did the final handover report to us, that was done. We have seen them year on year appropriating some money through the National Assembly to settle those bills. So the pace is not quick, and that delays handing over. And even when I said we have no stalled projects, if you look at what I've listed, a lot of them are what had remained under NMS that is now being brought back to us, and then before my time. Yeah, but within our time, all projects have been funded. Further to that, Senator Chair, there are no projects that we have said should not be completed from previous administrations. It will be a great disservice to Nairobians if the second governor abandons all the projects initiated by the first governor. And then the third governor, now we've had a few in Nairobi, that I say I didn't like the previous one and I leave his projects. Chair, we started with Governor Kidero's projects that were not concluded. The one which is really for me a painful one is the rehabilitation center in Ruai. Yeah, we have a huge rehabilitation center that has taken so much time. It was started by the first administration. The second administration completely left it. Did not, and so we have revived it. So that's what I'm saying, we're reviving a lot of these projects. Because when you find 100 million already sunk into it, and the land is there, that 100 million is taxpayers' money, The Joseph Kang'ethe social hall that my senator speaks about is also one such case that was started in 2014. The next administration did nothing about it. You know, we're the ones who've recontracted it, and it is ongoing. So Chair, I think to answer Senator Catherine Muma, maybe an updated matrix, the one we're doing in 21 days, will be useful for us, because not only will I bring the projects and our plan, I will also appeal to the Senate, pursuant to Section 6 of Urban Areas and Cities Act, for a special consideration of a conditional grant to the capital city, putting us just on the same formula. And I've grappled with this even from the time I was here. Having us on the same form, and I don't want to belittle any other county, but there are certain things that a capital city must have addressed as a matter of national, interest and national priority. I keep giving the example: if Engineer Tirop's sector does not get allocation and he cannot pay the lights, it's a national security crisis. For instance, for the power, and that is why we have negotiated and have now written to the Ministry of Energy that for Nairobi City, if you look at your power bill, all of you pay power in Nairobi, I'm sure. I don't know, Senator Perez pays Tobiko, whether you stay in Nairobi now, but in your power bill, you will find an amount called REP. That REP is rural electrification. And you pay your bill in Nairobi, a huge amount, almost 3.4%, is going to rural electrification. But you need streetlights outside your house. And so I've told EPRA and the Minister for Energy that for Nairobi, the REP amount, because the Nairobi power bill is 8 billion every month. Or rather, Nairobians pay 8 billion to Kenya Power. If we had 3% of that 8 billion, ring-fenced towards public lighting, the city will be lit, because that is more than 300 million every month, just for the lights, for the cables, etc. So those are the progressive discussions that we need to have, and I think this committee actually is best placed to move us. We've seen devolution for 13 years. We've seen what has been attempted in the capital, including retransfer, but we can now be able to do a report and say, look, this is how, because Section 6 of Urban Areas and Cities Act has never been implemented. And it provides for a special arrangement between the capital as the hub, a regional hub. Yesterday I was at the airport receiving the Prime Minister of Malaysia. I know there's no other governor who would go do that because he's coming to the capital. We are doing an MOU with his capital. We've done one with LA. There's certain things that Nairobi needs that formula of distribution, or rather of equitable share, cannot address for the capital. And that is our biggest challenge. So I'll bring those projects and we say, okay, this is my budget. I will lay it all out. This is what we need. How can you help us finance those needs, Chair? Thank you.
Chair, there's a question that Senator Onyonka asked. Yeah, there is a question that Onyonka asked that the governor has not responded to, but perhaps just to jog the memory of the committee and Senator Onyonka. There is a report by the County Public Accounts Committee, which was adopted by the House, that looked at the fiduciary risk exposure of all the counties. And I have to read this definition for fiduciary risk so that you understand what we're saying, Chair. It's an assessment on the level of misapplication and misappropriation of resources. This relates to the likelihood that funds are not used for the intended purpose, do not achieve value for money, and are not properly accounted for. So the total risk for all the counties was 532.6 billion. That fits in that definition, and Nairobi was leading with 157 billion such amounts. Chair, the total value of stalled projects is 7.59 billion for all of the counties. But out of that, Chair, you'll see, like, for our 4 hospital projects alone, we are talking a total of about 1.36 billion Kenya shillings. So it's a serious issue, Governor, and I wish that we would focus on that. Before we start looking for governors of LA to come and sign agreements with us, we need to resolve our own issues here. We finish Joseph.
We're not doing that, Senator. But I agree with you, and I'd love to see the report on fiduciary risk. It will be important to look at it. If you can share, please.
If you have the same number, I just forward to you right now. The number is this.
I think you need to have conversation on that, the two of you, and maybe you can even advise the committee to help you on that. So, as you said, the condition grant is very important to offset for this city.
Chair,
Mheshimiwa Paris.
Chair, I wanted to make a follow-up on the, on the point that the governor was trying to say that Nairobi should be looked at a bit differently from the other counties. And a lot of what you say, Governor, and I've been listening to you very keenly, not in this setting, but in several other settings, makes sense. I remember one time when you said the Nairobi is a service, oriented county, which is true, to a very large extent. But also when you say Nairobi contributes so much, let's say like if the example you have used of power, it does. And that rural electrification bit of contributions that Nairobians do, remember, to define Nairobi is very, very difficult. Because the same Nairobians who are here are the same people who are in those rural places, and they want that power. And you are Nairobians also, a lot of people working in Nairobi are living outside Nairobi. So sometimes to define who is a Nairobian is a bit challenging. And I have always told you, Governor, whenever you are making a case for Nairobi, please make a case for the entire metropolitan area, including Kajiado. So that when we are talking about infrastructure, it should be inclusive of the neighboring counties that are accommodating a lot of Nairobians. I think that one now, we will be having a more holistic picture of our city. Then, Governor, I also wanted maybe to get your opinion on what has been proposed severally. To have Nairobi not as a county, but an administrative unit that is standalone, different from the other counties. What is your take? Because that discussion has been there.
Check an answer.
Maybe let Catherine ask one question. Mr. Catherine.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, there is, we are currently, as a committee, discussing with parastatals that are holding county functions. And we had a conversation with, Kura the other day, and I wanted to know who should take responsibility who needs to take responsibility for floods in Nairobi. I think in another committee we have had a chat with you, and when we are discussing the issue of county roads, for instance, you actually indicated that those are, quote unquote, roads that are still treated as Kura roads. What is it that can be done for the roads infrastructure in Nairobi to actually be properly invested in? And is it true from Kura, what Kura told us? Do you have any MOU, an intergovernmental MOU with Kura, where you have ceded your roads responsibility to Kura, or have you within the COG discussed ways in which these parastatals holding county functions can particularly ensure that the funds to you, because you are a city county or a county city, whatever it is, and I think during floods, you will agree with me that it is Sakaja's name that is usually cast, and nobody remembers that it is Kura who's supposed to be doing those roads. How have you shared that particular infrastructure? How are you resourcing it? What kind of conversation are you having with Kura?
Okay. Mheshimiwa Governor, proceed. You can answer those questions.
Thank you. Chair, sorry, I'm just giving an instruction. Chair, thank you for those questions and those comments and thoughts. Allow me to start with Senator Peris Tobiko. I agree with the issue of Nairobi being, when we make a case for the city, that we should make a case also, for our neighbors. Chair, if you look at our population, Nairobi has 7 million people during the day, and at night it comes down to around 5. Go to Kajiado, Ongata Rongai, Ngong, Kiambu, and the outskirts of Ruaka. But Chair, the formula for giving money to counties is based on a census that is done at night. Now, when the census is done at night, but the services are sought during the day. You use the roads during the day, you go to hospitals during the day, you need the water during the day mostly. And so that is one thing that needs to be looked at, in terms of when are we counting these people. Some of the interventions we're making are really well. And I'll give you an example. We're planning to do a level 5 hospital on Magadi Road, because that is on your way to Ongatarongai. Because we find if today you go to Magathi Hospital, a huge population has come from Kajiado County in terms of the patients, and they say it, they've come from there. Because within their county, where they'll find a level 5 is on the far end, on the other side. And so they will come use our services in our hospitals, but when we're getting allocations, that is not factored in. So I agree, we need to have that in mind. And many of our interventions, including in transit, we've really fought for the dualing of that Magadi Road, which is now being done, and that helps Ongatarongai and Kiserian. We fought for the dualing of Kiambu Road from Mudaiga up until Dumberi. That has now been provided for. And so we look at the bigger picture, And so when we say that power amount, it is the physical bill that is in the city. Because it is hard for you to pay that 4%, yet outside your house, there's no, the lighting infrastructure that we need to keep doing. And previously, I've spoken about the challenges in terms of vandalism, the challenges in terms of, needing to work with the police. On water, we've made progress when we started creating what we call the water police, together with the national government. And it really reduced theft of the water in our non-revenue water. Because a lot of it, and I give an example, along Airport North Road, when we went with them, we found what looks like a kiosk. There's a lady there who has a kiosk. But when you go inside, you go underground, she has 16 pumps. She's a pumping station, supplying water to flats. And she's also supplying power. So she is Kenya Power and Nairobi Water. But outside you think it's sweet, And so once the level of water comes up, which we've increased by 140 million liters now, we still have 250 that is remaining. We can then incorporate technology like SCADA technology that we can be able to see. So Chair, yes, I agree. The issue of Nairobi as a county, I remember during the constitution making, or rather BBI, the BBI process, when there was those suggestions, I went and made a case together with my MPs that time when I was in the Senate, that world over, when the most thriving center, whether it is economical, has really grown, and you want to set an administrative capital, you move away from the city. You move from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma. You move from Lagos to Abuja, Federal Capital Territory. You move from Sydney or Melbourne to Canberra. You create a District of Columbia, like in Washington, D.C. You don't convert that which is already thriving, that actually has more than 10% of the population. If we say devolution is the biggest gift of our constitution, why would you deny 10% of the population that? Those who are in Nairobi. That lady in Mutwini, that lady in Kayole also needs to have a governor. She can talk to an MCA. And so we hold strongly, Nairobi should remain as a county, but we should look at the financing and some of the structures of governance. We've just passed our legislation on boroughs. We've created our 6 boroughs in Nairobi, where we've brought in a number of constituencies. So the Northern Borough has a number of constituencies. Eastern Borough, I've appointed borough managers last week. And in these boroughs now, you've stepped down the administration such that the person looking at solid waste in Dandora and water is not the same person thinking about it in Langata, and they have some budget and some form of, it is a structure that has better absorption than just a constituency. A constituency is not economically viable per se for economic absorption, but about with 3 of them coming together, Zimbabwe have 17 constituencies, then is a better way of engaging and through doing public participation. So that is my position. And that is why Section 6 and the whole Urban Areas and Cities Act talks about that special relationship and additional funding. And you will have an easier time, even when you're doing division of revenue, if you remove Nairobi from that formula. Just remove Nairobi from it, possibly in Lamu, because when you do a normal distribution curve, there will always be 2 outliers. Nairobi on one end, Lamu on the other end. And you will have no equity in the middle. But if you remove those 2, because of that huge discrepancy, you will see other counties actually getting closer to what they require to function. And then we finance Nairobi differently. And we finance Lamu, and I think there are 6 counties that have been getting less than 6 billion. That's a proposal that you can consider. Chair, on the issue of Senator Muma, on the issue of flooding and roads. Chair, there's something that the late former Prime Minister kept saying that I don't think people listen to. The agencies of Kura, Kena, and Kera were created before devolution. They were created when he was the Minister for Energy, because a lot of power was concentrated in the office of the Principal Secretary. And so there was a need to have these agencies to do a lot of that work. Once devolution has come in, and the court ruled, though the National Assembly went to appeal and there's a 1-year stay, there are only 2 categories of roads: national roads and county roads. If you look at the amount of money, and that's what I'm asking for, the amount of money collected nationally, the amount of money collected nationally on the fuel levy is around 119 billion. Yeah? From that 119 billion shillings, county roads are 70% of the roads in Kenya. But you want to give all counties 3 billion. You've securitized this 25 shillings per litre. You've securitized 7 shillings. You've got an additional money. If counties are actually 70% of all the roads in the country, the amount of money going to counties for roads, 70% of 119 billion, should be around 83 billion. Now from that 83 billion shillings, what we will get as Nairobi will be able to finance it. So Senator Muma, many of these, if you list the roads that flood in the city, it is under Kenya, it is not Nairobi. Mombasa Road, Uhuru Highway is a flooding hotspot. It is under Kenya. Ojijo Road, Kipande Road is still under that agency. We've had to go tell them, please sort this out, because on Kipande Road you have a 1.2 meter drain draining into 0.6 perennial flooding. When they sort it out, it stops flooding. Jogo Road, the whole of Jogo Road, including the trash there, is Kura. Juja Road, Agwins Kodek, all the roads you use. But the blame comes squarely to the county. So I can even share correspondence that I've done. I've listed roads that have been having that problem and told the Minister for Roads, please sort this out, or let us come up with a program together. We've costed one at 1.5 billion to sort out the entire issue of drainage and where new roads should be done. But there are roads under their current mandate. So either sort it out or give us our share of that money to sort out those roads. And the Senate really needs to come out strongly.
Excuse me, Chair. Have you finished? Because it was an addendum. Okay, you finished now.
Yeah. So the challenge that we currently have, there is no agreement. Senator Mu asked if we have a current intergovernmental agreement with Kura or Kera on classification. Classification of roads was done by KRB. That classification is what has been ruled to be unconstitutional. So county roads should be classified as county roads. If you look at the resources, then because people drive on all on these roads and they buy fuel, that fuel is what is contributing to 120 billion of fuel levy. Why don't counties then get 70% of that 119 billion? That is a case that we need to make, and I think the Senate is best placed to make that case. For now, the allocation we've gotten on road maintenance levy is 120 million shillings. But if it was based on the 83B, yeah, if you look at even the formula for allocation, Nairobi would be getting possibly close to 10, close to 10 billion of that, and that would sort out completely all the issue of portals, drainage, all the issues of, the walkways, which we keep trying to do, that we're increasing, because that is what a capital city needs to look at. So it's a struggle. Despite all that, we're putting money, onto roads. We are working with the current situation. Currently as we speak, there's 2 billion worth of roads that we're implementing with Kura in Nairobi. We've asked for another 1.5 B. 587 is sorting out the issue where there are still drainage hotspots. The other 1 B is doing, further repairs. Across the city, if you go today, you will see a lot of roadworks. It has come out through that program, and we'll continue doing it. But fundamentally, that question that Baba was raising, that 1 year break that has been kept by the court, I think we need to come out strongly on the road maintenance levy fund. Chair, I can leave it at that for now, kindly. And then you can go on to the other. You'll guide.
Yoka? Okay, Mheshimiwa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I was just keenly listening. Your Excellency, Governor, I've sat for the last 3 years listening to you. And every single thing you said today, you've said it before. It tells me either Nairobi County is not working, or indeed this committee and the Senate doesn't know what to do with Nairobi County. Remember, we have discussed about Nairobi County having a tram system so that our people can travel to industrial area for work, like other countries do. And I remember when you gave us the presentation, you said with about 6 billion, you would do all the tramming you needed out of the 5 or 6 boroughs that form part of Nairobi. From your presentation, the question I wanted to ask you, or the addendum I was giving, is this: what is really the problem with Nairobi? Because like you've had, the same narrative you've given us here is the same one I've had the last 3 years.
Financing. It is purely financing.
But Excellency, you're in government.
No.
Your president is your friend.
It's not about friendship.
It's
about structures of governance.
Okay, what are the structures? Because I've never heard you say the structures are broken like we do. So tell me, what structures do you think are broken?
That is number one. I've said the financing model.
Yeah, Chair, maybe just allow the governor to take some questions.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Senator, for saving me from Onyonga. Governor, you have articulated very well about the issue of the roads. What is difficult with discussing it in the summit? I know you are a very articulate person from when you are a senator. Why are you not fighting for it in the summit? I agree that senators should be part of this journey. But we have had occasions when we are fighting for something and the governors pull back and they just put us in a very embarrassing situation. What is difficult with fighting that functions, money must follow functions, and that the roads actually don't belong to national except the trunk roads? Tell us that so that we can be able to fight for you better. Number two, I want to believe that the list of development, the pending bills here are a mixture of what was NMS and what belongs to the county. If that is the case, then can we, in the resubmission in the 21 days, have a separation so that we know which ones really belong to you as a county government? Then we can be able to monitor progressively whether we are improving or not improving on the pending bills. But my main question, Chair, is from the CIDB implementation. I know the governor just gave us a statement on it because it is well articulated here. And I'm looking at CIDB and I'm telling myself, CIDB must respond to Schedule 4 of the Constitution. It must respond to what was actually devolved. And of course, you have avoided what we are going after in our education committee, that there should be no bursary in your CIDB. I don't see bursary, but in these 5 years, we suspect you have also paid that bursary without indicating here. But also the thing that is worrying me is that you are calling the education sector is part of a talent, skill development and care, which is okay. But when you look at the expenditure on page 93, members, you have a 5-year target, and cumulative achievements must be the achievements as of when you send us this document, which is 2 years plus. And I'm asking myself, construction of ECD centers was only at 30 out of 100 target for the 5 years. We are already midstream. If that document can also be updated, Chair, so that we know where the county is on its CIDP. But you look at that again, the rehabilitating ECD centers, 224, only 1 has been done. And then you have construction of vocational training centers, 5 have been done. I know I'm speaking because I'm in the education committee, and this is really touching me. Football pitches, that's okay. The success story in your report seems to be what is being done under the ward development projects on page 95. That gives us a percentage. That means you will accomplish, so that your accomplishment may be coming through the wards, but the others are not coming. The biggest question I want to leave is the question on the health centers. In your CIDP, I'm not seeing much of the health centers, and yet we know the population in Nairobi, as you have said. We know this is a population that you must have a health center almost in every small area, not even the borough, but the smaller units. In a ward for you, you may need 10 or 20 health centers compared to the others, which I appreciate. Nairobi is a little bit unique because we have, especially in the slum areas or areas that are overcrowded. So I'm looking at your CIDB and I'm telling myself, where is the strategic approach to expanding your health sectors? Because in the health, wellness, and nutrition, it is about the kitchens, which I think is primary schools or nursery schools and primary schools. So where is health, the real health in this CIDB, and where have you allocated the money to construct or renovate or equip those areas? The overcrowding in Kenyatta Hospital is very worrying. And that's a level 6 hospital, which has nothing to do with the devolution in Schedule 4. But we are expecting that in these crowded areas, you even have maternity areas, so that we are not taking women are not being ferried from Nairobi West all the way to Kenyatta Hospital. Where is it in your CIDP, Governor? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, Governor, you know we are on the same page when it comes to the Urban Areas and Cities Act. And this is a law that was passed years ago. You are preaching to the choir, because we are not the people to persuade. That is the conversation that Senator Onyonga was inviting you to, that what we lack is actually political will in the highest office in the land to just be able to support these programs. And he was saying he has seen you with him a few times. He's your friend. Those are the conversations you should be having with the president. For us, we are sold on the idea. We are the biggest supporters for this particular argument you're making. Secondly, Governor, how is it that you see this thing you call barrows? I remember quite clearly it was a campaign promise of yours. We are 18 months to the election of 2027. How can it be that now is when you're setting up these barrows? And you've said correctly yourself that Nairobi is a services county, and I agree with you. You can try and shift all the blame to the national government for these roads, but you will agree with me also that part of the problem is the management of our, what is it called? Waste management and garbage collection. We had the public participation on our annual development plan in August. And all these places, when you go to all of these constituencies, people are complaining about the inability of the county government to collect garbage. You know the famous road in Kawangware there, is it called Salim Road? Yeah. So you have to agree that even the failure to provide those services contributes. Garbage in our drainage is actually one of the contributing factors for the blockage there and then the subsequent flooding. So, and then year on year, Chair, you will agree that the revenue due to Nairobi under the shareable revenue has been growing, Governor. So the expectation would be from those of us in the Senate is that these new additional resources that we push to you every year, we should see some changes in just one thing, even if it's just that garbage collection alone. So we are doing our part in terms of pushing resources, the envelope for devolution. I think we added almost, was it 30 billion? We are fighting for you on the RMLF front, but also you have to come through as a county government to demonstrate that when these additional resources come, there has to be significant changes in the service delivery to the people of Nairobi. I thank you, Chair.
Mine one is actually, the other day, the national government was creating some more, I don't know what they call them, sub-counties or regional counties, whatever, sub-counties, I think, in Nairobi. I don't know how that will help this city in terms of security and everything and services, where the national government is actually chipping in within their administrative units, any services they're giving to the city. Two, according to what we have here, there's a lot of big outstanding pension deductions. The pension deduction is not actually submitted. According to what I have from your report, is that there's 91.17 billion outstanding unpaid. And this is actually impacting so much on this. There is social welfare. So why is this money not being deducted? I mean, why is it not submitted to the statutory deductions? A pension, the remittance is not done to the statutory deductions, to the respective institutions, like LabSec and Long Funds, all these things. I can see there are 3 of them that were supposed to receive money as of 1st October 2024. The total outstanding pension bill, or to 3 pension schemes reported to the Retirement Benefits Authority, amounts to 91.17 billion, reflecting an increase of 73.4 billion as the 31st 2023. So maybe you can also help us on that. There's Lab Trust, there's Lab Fund, there's NSF, there's PSF, CPF, all this.
Chair, let me.
Oh, okay.
Chair, I have a very specific question. Chair, if you look at on-source revenue from Narok County, it's at 5.6 billion.
Narok?
Yes, currently. Then Machakos, not Machakos, Kiambu is 5 billion. That makes a total of 11.6 billion. So having looked at what the governor Nairobi presented today, his collection is 13 billion. And most of these collections, on-source revenue from Narok and Kiambu, are mainly from hospitals, almost 50 to 60%. So I'm just wondering, Nairobi City, with so many hospitals, a lot of collections from the land rates, single business, parking, building permits, he's collected only 13 million. And the statistics show that he can collect up to 60 billion if they are effective. So I want to ask the governor, why are you collecting that minimal amount of money while other counties are collecting billions, almost half of what you are collecting? Narok County, for example. What is going on, Governor?
Sorry, he's saying there's a county collecting more than us.
Yes, the counties are collecting. If you look at, no, don't look at Nairobi. Nairobi is a big county, you know.
Look about Nairobi.
Now, your collections, but Governor, Narok collected 5 billion shillings.
Because they have the park.
And you collected only double.
They have the national, the Masai Mara.
That doesn't mean that Masai.
Yes.
Yeah, but
you know the daily collection of Masai Mara?
Is Chair, the main collection from Narok is even health centers. Yes, almost 50, over 50%.
No. Chair,
okay, I think
let me answer. We might differ on.
He's talking about the FIF.
Yeah.
We have done so many hospitals.
On FIF, Chair, the money stays in the facility. The money remains within the facility.
No.
That money is not used for anything else. It's facility improvement. And it has gone up. I think the last year was shillings, which is more than the own source of so many other counties. Yet we don't have as many hospitals. We have 124 hospitals. You'll find counties with 200. You remember when the issue of bank accounts came up? It is because counties have a bank account for every health facility. And you're saying some, Bungoma, I don't know who, let me not mention. And we were explaining that the Auditor General needs to be fair. Because the same law we've passed here, the law says that open an account for every facility. Then now you do an audit and say counties have too many accounts. Yet it's the same, you're the ones who said every facility. So FIF stays in the county. Chair, we've been making a case. In the same way Masai Mara, the county government of Narok collects. In the same way Amboseli was handed over to Kajiado County. Nairobi National Park, which is almost an eighth of this county, should also follow suit. It is not fair that that is being applied selectively to Kajiado, and I saw a big function where they have gotten now Amboseli Park.
Did you make a request?
Sorry?
Did you apply for that?
Oh, we have written severally. We have written severally. In fact, the first proposal that was made by His Excellency, the President, was that you do 50-50 revenue sharing. We have raised that severally in the summit. They say we're still working on regulation, we're still working on, and I keep telling the Waziri, Rebecca Miano, this is English that you're giving us. We know how much the revenue of the park is. We should just send you a bill and an invoice. Because the park being in the city constrains a lot of other development. Remember, that is more than an eighth of our land. Even if we only charge rates for that entire piece of land, it is a lot of money. So that would contribute to what other counties are able to make. Our revenue is 13.8 billion. It is the highest historically ever collected. Even during the time when, I don't know who was asking about national government running the city. When NMS was running Nairobi, they only did, I think, 8 or 9B. And they had everything, including the military and the bombs and guns, but they only did 8B. As through technology and persuasion and, good analysis, analytics, data is helping us.
Point of information for the governor about the issue of Nairobi National Park in comparison to the Amboseli National Park. Governor, you could charge the rates on that land. I don't know, you'll be charging the animals. But let me tell you, the wildlife from Nairobi National Park, the residents of Nairobi have occupied every space that would have been available for as a dispersal area for that wildlife. So actually, your wildlife are now, the dispersal area is in Kajiado, our pastoralist areas where our livestock should be feeding. So actually, Nairobi National Park should also be handed over to Kajiado.
Chair, since Senator Paris and the Kajiado people have gotten something, they should help others also fight for themselves. Also think about your neighbor. We can discuss the animals later. Chair, let me go to other, substantive issues. The issue of pension deductions. Chair, previously there was a lot of unremitted statutory deductions in the county. If you look at LAP Fund, it was coming to, I think, 27 billion, and we've cleared the principal. We don't owe them anything in principle. We only owe interest. 6.6 billion interest. Chair, that committee that you set that met in Treasury, and I went and sat with them, is focusing on how the interest needs to be calculated. Remember, LAP Fund is a DC fund, a direct contribution fund. And LAP Trust is a closed fund, which is a defined benefit fund, a DB fund. Now, the RBA Act provides what percentage the interest must be, but we've been negotiating that we use the Treasury bill rate, which is at around 4%, which will bring down that interest. So I want to just make it clear that in our time, we have submitted all statutory deductions. We have not failed to submit from 2022 when I got in to date. We're up to date. The problem is a historical debt of this 32 billion of lab trust and 7 billion of interest. The interest can actually be reduced on a DC fund, but on lab trust it's very difficult because it's a defined benefit, and an amount also comes up called the actuarial deficit that we've been negotiating about what the actuarial deficit then should be if you're able to sort out that interest. Now, what we agreed, because I've given you the progress on this other amount of 67 billion, and the letter that I wrote then to the head of public service was that while we continue to fulfill our outstanding liabilities, the historical debt be paused so that we can do either debt swaps or write-offs. What I don't want to do is what previous administrations have done in Nairobi, where our land, for instance, Mariakani Estate was given to one of the entities, lab fund, the citizens, or then the rent goes up. Because these houses of ours really is a social thing, it is not for profit. There's no other place you'll pay rent of 3,000 or of 10,000. Now, once you commercialize it into a transaction, then you disenfranchise that citizen. So we're looking at how part of that debt owed to us by national government, they can be able to take over those loans and sort it out. That is why I said we're at 86 billion. Our discussion is on 67 billion that they owe to us. Once that is dealt with, we'll come to around 10, and then we raise our charges. If you go out here, Arambe Avenue, all those parkings that are cordoned off, some ministries have been paying, some have not been paying. I must say there's been now an improvement, because the law that you passed said that for contribution in lieu of rates or CILO or rates, instead of me billing every ministry or every national government entity, we write to the National Land Commission. The National Land Commission does one bill to Treasury, which we have done. My CEC wrote to them. I think it was coming to, is it another 2.7 billion, and then the process of settling that as Treasury and putting it in the. I think now there's better, and I want to really thank the current, CS and PS. They are more receptive. Before it was very difficult, can't pay, won't pay mentality. But today you can see they are more receptive towards sorting out what they owe us. You've asked about the sub-counties. So on pension, we really want to say it's very unfair. Someone has worked for years, they have contributed, they have given their service to our council, to the public, and then when they retire, they cannot get their dues paid. Nairobi Water had wanted to take a loan to sort out their debts, and we paused it. We said, look, if this arrangement, which unfortunately has taken long, of the national government and Embakasi Garrison is concluded, and we did the last meeting, it can cover all those debts without me giving up county assets or getting further indebted into loans. That we would not want to go that way. Chair, the issue of sub-counties in Nairobi that you've asked is a welcome move. Actually, we're the ones who made that appeal. Nairobi had 11 sub-counties in terms of national government structure, but 17 constituencies. And so there was a huge discrepancy in service delivery. You'd find there's one place called, the DCC of Njiru sub-county was all the way from Kamulu, part of Kasarani. Yeah, there's another DCC Kasarani. So this one is in Umoja Kayole up until Mukuru Kwanjenga. And so the person in Mukuru is being served by a DCC in Njiru. It was very untidy. And so what we've been able to manage, and I want to thank the national government because they listened to us, now we have 17 sub-counties. And so you have 17 DCCs, 17 in the structure that is aligning with the constituencies. They have created now new deputy or other county commissioners into 3 regions. Initially, we wanted them to align with our borough system of 6, but they have settled on 3 for now, which for us is a welcome move, because one county commissioner dealing with 17 constituencies, 85 wards, and 7 million people is a bit also overwhelming, because we have a regional commissioner. Nairobi is a region as well as a county, a regional commissioner and a county commissioner. So that discussion is ongoing. We've had meetings, we've had to sit down. The last one we did, I had all my sub-county commanders of the security and compliance, my sub-county admins, my ward admins, together with the police, the OCPDs, the OCSs, and the NGAO, the National Government Administration Officers, And together they've even formed their own implementation units, because you cannot do this work alone. You must work together. So, Chair, that is going on well, and we are grateful for the interventions made. Senator Kamara has asked me many questions, and I know you're very passionate about education. And I must thank Senator Kamara and the Education Committee, led by Senator Montet. When I came, I think 2 weeks ago, I got a lot of good advice, especially on the area of TVETs. And we're refocusing more resources. In fact, as soon as we left the meeting, I called partners. One of the senators, I think Senator Folamu, had raised an issue on Langata women's ECD. If I'm not wrong, yeah, he's the one who raised it. Immediately I called one of our partners to go do a review and look at what we can do to spruce it up. Chair had explained that I was once a student there in the prison. Because my mom used to work there, and so when I was naughty and I didn't want to go to my school, she would carry me along to prison, and I'd go to that ECD. So we're sorting it out. We've also sat down the Safaricom Foundation to look at how we improve these TVETs. I'll be calling upon my senator to assist me to do more public awareness on the courses that are available in our VTCs. Is it VTC or VCT? There's one which is for Nene. VTC. Vocational training centers. Because for a long time we've told people that when you fail exams is when you go to a VTC. So we discourage the youth that if you're going to a VTC, you're a failure. Yet the skills that come from VTCs, very few people who've gone through there are lacking a job. There are very few plumbers today who don't have something to do, or masons, or we are redoing some of the courses. For instance, now half of my vocational centers are doing driving courses. Instead of the bursaries paying for the private driving schools, they can actually pay our county, schools. The amount of money that we're giving through bursaries, there is now a provision that this specifically must go to our institutions to build those institutions. Some of the needs we have, for instance, in uniform for our inspectorate, a uniform for our health workers. We have now said let them be made in Dandora, where we have that capacity. And so apart from ongoing contracts, we're now moving to actually utilize, because the enrollment has been very low. So I really want to thank the Education Committee. It is true, a lot of the actual development has been done through ward-based projects. The ward-based projects are still our projects as an executive, because there's no ward development fund. It is just ward-based projects where we identify. And so the committees in the ward, many of them have identified ECD centers to be put up. On top of that now, if you look at our supplementary, because after our meeting, I took note of what you said and I've included in the supplementary that is now before our county assembly. We have put in the issue of the playgrounds, not just in our schools, but in estates. And the playground is swings, merry-go-round, slides, monkey bars, and seesaws. We sometimes take for granted the impact of just one set of that within the informal settlements, where our children many times don't have nothing to play with. So we've incorporated that, and I'm very excited about that program. On health centers, I think we have not given, we need to update the information, because we've done quite a number of new of the centers, but really the work was to operationalize the ones that had been built. There were 19 new health centers. They had been at various stages of completion. Many of them didn't have the perimeter walls, etc., and they were still being handed over from NMS. So we wanted, instead of building new ones, fully operationalize the ones you have. That includes employment of medical staff, nurses, doctors, clinical officers. And so it's not just, a hospital is not just a building. It is the equipment, the commodities, the human resource issues, the financing. I must say, Chair, that the Primary Healthcare Fund and the Social Health Authority is the one fund that is doing well, or rather comparatively better. We have even small facilities. If you go to Pipeline, if you go to our level 2s and 3s, getting up to 2 million shillings, in terms of reimbursements. And in our level 2 and 3, we are not charging Nairobians a shilling. you walk in and walk out. Now, with that money that is going there, because we've had to now retrain those managers. Remember, they were not handling a lot of these accounts. We are taking them to School of Government bit by bit to understand, accounting and operating the finance. They are now buying their own medicine in those lower level facilities. Of course, it is not at where we want it to be ideally, but we've seen a great improvement. The example I'll give is Kware Dispensary with now 1.7 million shillings. They're about every month, and it was just 2 containers. And now the challenge we have is the SHA reimbursements. I know there's a question in health that we owe KEMSA the biggest amount, which was 200 million. Has it gone down? It was 244, it is now 200 million. But I said, yes, we owe KEMSA 200 million, but NHIF owes us 800 million. Why don't they deduct and give us a change? It is easier, because how are we paying you? We're paying you through provision of that health service. So yes, we owe you 200 million, but you owe us 800 million shillings at the national level. Do that. Yeah. How much are we owed now by?
Through you, Chair. I'm surprised the governor, everybody says SHA is working.
Yeah.
You've really surprised me.
By saying, I'm not saying it's not working, I'm saying they're delayed reimbursement.
But it's members. Outstanding amount here. It's still working. But
it's working slowly.
Chair, can I request that you ask the governor to give brief and specific responses, because we still have a lot of...
time is not on our side.
Yeah.
I'll request the governor to complete.
Yeah.
Let's give him time.
So I was just answering on, I'm answering the specific questions. I'll make it briefer. On the health centers, SHA is working. It's just that delayed reimbursements. And I know I spoke to and wrote to Mercy Mwangangi. SHA owes us 358 million now, and NHIF has gone down to 693. And you see, they pay monthly on monthly. I wish it was more up to date.
Sorry, so when you say they walk in and walk out in level 3, signing off to SHA?
Oh yeah, they come in. If they are not registered under SHA, we register them, and those reimbursements. You remember there are 3 funds. There's a primary health care fund, PHC. PHC is targeting the outpatient 2 and 3. They are very efficient. Then you go to level 4 and 5 is where you have the SHA. Yeah, I think that's where they have a bigger challenge. And then you have the critical care fund. But when we have more time, I can explain and give you examples. I know the health committee is coming to some of our hospitals to be able to see that. And which is what has helped us. Sorry, just to add. Today we hired more than 50 more dentists, and dental services for the first time are being offered throughout the city. It used to be seen as a luxury, but now it is there. Finally, you asked about bursaries and CIDP. At the point, we have reinstated bursaries and scholarships. They have a huge impact. There was the issue of the intergovernmental agreement, which was entered into, and notification of the county assembly. In the first year, we did bursaries. In the first 2 years, before the COB halted bursaries, we had issued bursaries worth 1.88 billion. That's bursaries of 1.6 and 200 million in ECD capitation. In 2 years. 10 years prior to that, it had been 3 billion. So the bursary and scholarships that had been 3 billion in 10 years, in 2 years we did 2 billion, 1.88 billion. It has huge impact. It is 119,000 children who get the bursaries. It is 5,300 on a scholarship, where from Form 1 to Form 4, your fee is covered. It's a social intervention. I wish schools were completely free, but we see the pain and the challenge that parents in Nairobi are going through. We cannot ignore.
Thank you, Chair. I was wondering why it is not indicated as one of your target areas in the CIDP. We don't have. You have not given us.
That should be an error, because that is a summary. Or an extracted summary. We'll give you the full CIDP document. It does have bursaries, it has the health facilities and health centers. Chair, on the issue of summit, Senator has asked, why don't we discuss these things in the summit? Chair, the case we are making, and maybe I should just do a summarized paper as my submission to the Senate on what would sort out the city. We have made it repeatedly in the summit. We've raised the issue of the park. We've raised the issue. In fact, the IGTRC did a gazette notice on museums and all other devolved services. The issue of the roads we've discussed, but sometimes it's political pressure from members of parliament who want to hang on to roads funds. Yet they really should do oversight and representation and legislation. That was a point that was held strongly in as unpopular as it could have been. Because, and I'll give you an example. I don't want to point out any member of parliament of mine, but let me use a place that has many constituencies. If you look at Jogoo Road traverses many constituencies. If you give money to the MPs, no MP will put money on Jogoo Road. They'll put money in the informal settlements. Or if you look at Agwins Kodek, that cuts through, from they'll put money in Kawangware or in Kangemi or in Madari. But these huge arteries that require real support and resources will be completely ignored, So that is why the county is the best level of government to undertake this development, and we really need to move that point. Imagine if we got that 7B of roadwork every year directly to the county. Instead of 70%, actually 80% of the road funds going to national government, it should be the other way around. So yes, we'll keep making that case. Senator Onyonka is not about friendship. It's about systems and structures and the law. The court ruled very well that there are only two categories. They got an injunction. I don't know how they got 1 year, just for us to wait. So this year I've been given 120 million on RMLF, 120 million. So what I've said is, instead of doing roads with that 120 million, I'm doing walkways only. For the 120, we'll do walkways because of the non-motorized transport, and we're doing walkways throughout the CBD. If you go to the CBD, you will see a lot of improvement of these walkways. And now we're adding more avenue. We're doing, because 120 million, you'll do 2, 3 roads. That we're funding through our budget, our general budget, and what we agreed on with Kura. The issue of trams and Senator Onyonka, it is this. I wish and devolution is growing, but once a function is given, we should be able to let it be supported. If counties cannot get external arrangements, I'll give you an example of the BRT. From 2022 December, when the European Investment Bank came to see me, and the AFD, they said they have 300 million euros, the AFD had 74 million euros to finance our BRT line 3 from Dandora all the way to Kajiado County. It took me 2 years because you have to get national government cabinet approval. The national government cabinet approval came out in December of 2024. It has come out in December of 2024. To date, there is no financing request that has been made for that money. It's the same as water. We got financing. Remember, and I've told you many times, Nairobi needs 900 million liters. We're at 525 million liters. We've added 140. Yeah. To solve the 250, we need to do Maragua 4 and Northern Collector 2. I've gotten a financing partner willing to put in more than $100 million for Maragua 4, Northern Collector 2. It has to come through Treasury. I think it's something beyond just Nairobi. We need to see how either the guarantees or bilaterals between lending institutions and counties can actually be made faster. The tram discussion, I can't have it without the national government, because rail is not devolved if you look at the constitution. However, there was an entity set up by legal notice, called Namata. The former minister really revived it, Kipchumba Murkomen, because the chair is the minister, the vice chair is the governor of Nairobi, and you have the chairs of these other counties that was looking at BRT and rail. And then when it dies down, you have no control. So what I'm saying is, just as that law said, classification of roads, national and county, if you devolve, give us that mandate, give us that authority to get these funds, because for us it might be a priority. But you see, now when the cabinet sits, they might say, no, this is now no longer a priority to us at the national level, but the traffic jams are a priority to me as a governor of Nairobi. But to sort it, I need that, so there's that impasse. And let's put our heads together. I'd want us to co-create the solution, because that is why the Senate exists. Chair, let me leave it at that so that we can move on to the other questions.
Chair, I know we don't have time. I'll just ask one question. Governor, if you go to page 30 of the report, where you put the annexes, and also there are other pages. And maybe you could give me your, I don't know whether you came with your water CO or CEC. I've just noticed that Nairobi County drills its boreholes at not less than 10 million shillings. And yet I live in Nairobi and I know everybody who drills their water, the money is never more than 3 million. Is there a technical reason why this amount has gone that high?
Yeah, it depends on the specific location. I'll give an example. Kipra Primary, I did a borehole that we had to go to 400 meters. 400 meters, you know. So the geotechnical survey looks at many things, and so the costs vary. In some areas, the water table is higher. Some areas, it is much lower. So it actually varies, and I can get to you the specifics. But I remember Kipra Primary. I've done many for, you know, the mosques, you know, in areas where we have mosques, because for our Muslim brothers and sisters, water is so important as part of their worship. And so I made that commitment. We've done quite a number, and the costs you can see actually vary, and in primary schools. But I can bring that detailed information.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Governor, all your boreholes are around 10 million. All of them. Yes. So if there was variance, then the price shouldn't be the same for each and every borehole. I don't know whether you have seen that.
Thank you, Chair. In fact, Senator Onyonka, if there are differences in the depth of the borehole that has been sunk, then we should not see that uniform figure for all of them. My concern, Chair, because we began this conversation about hospital collections, Senator, we did almost 1.3 billion in hospital collections in the last financial year. And Chair, we as the residents of Nairobi were very concerned when we saw a directive by this administration to take all hospital collections, bank accounts transferred from tier 1 banks to CDN Bank. Honorable Chair, as I've told you, we collect 1.3 billion per year from the facilities. Can you imagine us banking that money in a bank whose total customer deposits is 50 billion Kenya shillings annually? And then, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, if you look at the asset base of Nairobi and compare it to the asset base of CDN Bank, which is only at less than 70 billion shillings, Governor, we want an explanation as to the thinking in your government why you would move from a bank with history like KCB or Cooperative Bank and take this money to CDN Bank, because you will become the largest single depositor in this bank from our, if the collections from the facilities is correct, and you put it yourself at 1.3, if we are taking all our collections from these hospitals to CDN, we will become the largest single depositor in CDN. So we don't understand as the people of Nairobi, and I had written to you on the 12th. I have not gotten a response, but since you are here, I am sure you can give that response.
I think my last question also. Okay. Your Excellency, mine is a concern of Nairobi. You see, His Excellency the President is so passionate that about Kenya becoming the first world. I don't know how soon. And Nairobi is actually the same Nairobi. And you can see so many buildings, high-rise buildings coming up. People are moving in. And you know, the problem is all services are centralized within the CBD. And that's why we have been experiencing a lot of traffic. Nairobi does not have many vehicles. It's only that everybody is coming to the CBD for the national government services and for your services. So, if you want us to go like the Asian tigers, what is your plan for this city? And then these high-rise buildings actually making Nairobi now look like, you know, like Kipra and this, because everybody is just getting congested everywhere. And then you see in other world, before you make a building, any construction somewhere, all our services must be available. The road must be there, water must be there, the light must be there, the power, I mean. So, but that is not so in this place. So you see, in most of the beautiful suburbs of the Nairobi are not being turned to, you know, like Majenga and those places. Because the high buildings are there, but it doesn't add any value to the beautification of the city. So I don't know what plan you have for this city.
Chair, that will take the whole day because I have to go through my manifesto, the plan in different sectors from health to environment, because we have a huge plan, for many of these things. If I start with the issue of development control, yes, we've decentralized. That's why we were talking about the barrows, Chair. Right now, for customer service, we have now another 6 customer service centers that you don't have to get that service at City Hall. With the unified business permit, for instance, Chair, one from your phone, instead of what you had to do before to come, you come to City Hall, we tell you go to 6th floor for advertising permit, then you go to Tomboya Street for fire, then you go to another building. From where you are here, you can just log into nairobiservices.go.ke, describe your business, explain what sector you're in, pay and print your business permit from anywhere in the city. It's just that there are people also who are traditional. They want to come and get it from City Hall. Because whatever you'll print as your QR code, it is proper. And then we allow you to do a self-declaration. But the people who want to feel served, and even when they come and we tell them, okay, it is okay, it's in your account, you can go print it outside. They're like, no, I want it printed for me by a city council, by a county government worker. So we must decentralize our city. Nairobi is a growing city at more than 5% annually. The demands are big. It is growing because it has become the epicenter of this region. It is 696 square kilometers. We cannot have what we call urban sprawl. And urban sprawl or urban decay is where you have people traversing such long distances to get services. And so you have somebody living at the edge of the city, let's say in Kamulu or in Ruai, whose child is going to Makini School in Kilimani, and the person works in Westlands. That's why you have a lot of these issues of congestion, of traffic, etc. And so what you want to create is, in terms of urban planning, is sub-centers that actually all services are there. The sub-centers that were created under the new plan that we're implementing are in all the parts of the city. The local area plans are taking a time, because you remember we had gotten funding from Millennium Challenge Corporation to do all the local area plans for these sub-centers in the city. When the Donald Trump administration came in, that money was cut off. That was a congressional fund called Millennium Challenge Corporation, where we were getting around, finally it was going to be $800 million, to develop all of those plans that deal with the water, with the development control. Because remember, Chair, the last physical development plan for the city, the actual full plan was 1978. 2004 was just development control regulations. It was obsolete. And so what new plan did was to set up the foundation to do all those plans. Now the courts have ruled that we have a year to finalize, because the Raptor residents and the Parklands residents had gone to court because they didn't want, the buildings coming up. A lot of the issue is nostalgia. That we used to live in half an acre in Kileleshwa, now a flat is coming up. It is inevitable. The flats will come up. We must go up, but we must go up with amenities, and they won't come up everywhere. And that is why you have a whole physical development plan. That this area, for instance, this area of Lavington will remain with mansionettes. This area of Muthaiga or Karen, you will not allow flats there. This area you can have 0, the ground plus 3 or plus 4 floors, which also means that you must add X amount of sewer and X amount of water, and we have those plans. We're doing some with the French Development Agency, we're doing some ourselves, whether it is the Lavington area. If you look now, the water coming from Kabete up to Oleodume, through Kawangware. Over there, there's a dispersal that will go into Lavington. It comes all the way to Kungu Karumba Road, going up to Langata. Today, if you go to Langata, the areas that have never had water, that have water, including estates named after senators here, Onyonka Estate, named after your dad. Karen had no water completely from the city, completely. It was just boreholes, and that is why the water table has gone down. Now there is water in Karen. The water that's coming from Karen, we have done micro tunneling at Galeria that goes across to Brookhouse towards the road, Magadi Road, and also now coming into Langata, Royal Park, all those estates to Langata Prison through gravity. Because initially the line to Langata was going through Kibra. And unfortunately, there were a lot of interference. Yeah, we've had to concretize that pipeline, and still give them now proper connections. But even where it's been concretized, there has been, encroachment. And so we did one line now along the new Langata link road called Kunkarumba, but the gravity one is helping. And that's the story in many places. Go to Utawala, go to Mihango. Now we're doing, and I'm very happy with my new MD, Martin Angole, because I sent him to sit with Athi Waterworks to help us with the lateral connections. If you go to Umoja today to Molem, there is serious sewer works going on, So the amenities might not be visible in terms of, or rather the pace, but we must bear that in mind. And just because we've allowed certain heights doesn't mean that we will approve for you to do that height when we see that these amenities are not yet enough. On the river program, there is one intervention that is going to help us, because I insisted you cannot clean the river without dealing with the sewer. And the river cuts across the city, 27 kilometers. And so we have done 54 kilometers of sewer on both sides of Nairobi River. 54 kilometers of that sewer will also be on Ngong River and Mathare River, and that completely cuts across the city. 1.8 meters by 2 meters in terms of the size. That will take us for another 50 years. So all that's left for us to do is the last mile connections into those chunks. So that will be sorted, because the more water you produce, you need to provide for at least 75% of the same quantity for sewer provision. We are now doing another wastewater treatment plant in Kariobangi North. The wastewater treatment plant will go from 30,000 cubic meters per day to 90,000. Yeah. So these plants are there to support a growing city, because the city will be growing. Of course, it is not at the pace that we would all wish. I wish there was an instant button out press and all the sewer is done, the roads are done, but there has been progress. Possibly we need to communicate better about the progress being made in each and every of these sectors and what we're doing. That is a challenge that I admit that we do have, but there's been tremendous progress that we will find a way to explain. When I come to Senator Sifuna's question, so Chair, there are huge plans, and I will keep sharing with you, and with Nairobians, because Nairobians want to know that at least there is a plan that you're working towards, and this is how we can chip in where it comes to chipping in. On the issue of the banks, Chair, it's an administrative decision, really. The law allows us to open bank accounts. We have accounts with many different banks as a county, not just cooperative or KCB or Equity. We have, different arrangements. The major issue that we had was on management, the cycle management of month-to-month expenses. And so, for instance, we get, because exchequer delays sometimes. When exchequer delays, you want the bank to pay for you in advance, at least salaries, so that they don't delay. And we've had huge issues with salary delays. The commission that we were being charged by Coop Bank, or by the banks we had, because now I don't want to go into brands, because it will almost be a defamation or whatnot. But we have a better commission of 0.5% after 60 days. We were paying a higher percentage after 30 days. It's an administrative decision we've made. It is within the law. We've not gone to an illegal institution. It is a bank that is, regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. We believe the money is safe. They have been willing to even advance 2 months salary. You remember last time we were here, you said the CHPs are saying when the delay from the national government money is done, we should advance them. The current arrangements we had, they were refusing to advance us beyond that, and says that if you advance us beyond that, it becomes a loan, that we need to come back to National Assembly and get a national government guarantee. We disagreed with that on principle, So deposits for hospitals, I'm just seeing what the CC has written, do not sit in a bank. They go in and out, to be withdrawn and used as FIF. We have no processing fee for salaries at CDN. That's what they have given us as a deal. So it's a better deal for the county. It is a better deal on all of those accounts, and it's an administrative decision, it's a legal decision that we stick by. In fact, not just hospitals. We are moving everything there. Not just the ones you saw, including revenue. Yeah, the revenue accounts will also move there. The collection accounts are going to move there. It is a Kenyan bank. It was Kereb. And so we must be proud. The ones you're saying at level at tier one, at one point we're also at a lower level. Let's build our bank. So it's an administrative decision that we can stand by.
Through you, Chair, could I please ask a subsequent question to the Governor? Your Excellency, the reason why this question is relevant is because you've actually not answered it. What Sifuna said, we have about 34 commercial banks in Kenya. If I was to ask you today to give me a proposal, an offer which was given by Sidian Bank, Citibank, Kenya Commercial Bank, and all these other banks. And the reason for that is that Sidian Bank is known to be a bank owned by individuals who are Kenyans who owned it just recently. And all these individuals are actually in government. That your decision, Governor, just let me ask you, this is what Nairobians are talking about. No, let me ask you. Don't be defensive. Thank you. What I'm asking, it said that this bank is owned by some people in government, and the decision you took, the owners of Sidian. Okay. You want me to give you the C12? You see, he's telling me where watch.
No, produce a CR12.
Yeah, so let me ask my question. I don't know why all these guys are being defensive.
Order members, I think...
members, let me ask my question. This is the question. Are you sure that if we were to consider what other commercial banks are offering, that Sidian would actually be offering this purely on a business basis and not because of the connections of the owners? That's really the point. And I'm not accusatory. I'm just trying to ask if the evidence...
Can I answer?
Yes.
Okay. They have given us the best deal, and it's an administrative decision. We have looked at all these other banks. We invited them. We've looked at different commercial banks. Let me not name. No one is charging us no processing fee as a percentage. No one is giving us that rate. In fact, one of our entities did even go to being offered is the best. So it's an administrative decision. And banks, of course, like any institution, can have owners. Yeah. Sidian has owners, KCB has shareholders, NCBA Bank has owners. I don't see people asking about it when counties open accounts there. Everyone, all of these things have, have shareholders. But if there's a specific shareholder in government, please produce that evidence to us, Chair.
Chair, can I have
please.
a supplementary question?
Please,
Mine is different. It's on the same, on the banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not passing
be brief,
the details of the people,
and
but I'm
don't go
passing.
too personal.
No, I'm not going to any names, because I agree with the governor that anybody can own anything in this country. The question I had is because he was the chair of this committee. And if I remember, he talked very strongly against very many accounts held by governors when he was chairing this committee. What do you feel is the maximum number of accounts or minimum number? Can we have a minimum or a maximum number of accounts held by county governments?
Yes.
And now that you are there, I'm taking advantage of the fact that you are the one who brought it to Senate.
Chair, at that time...
Chair, before he answers that question.
Yeah, because Chair...
Chair, can we take all the questions first?
Let me just answer that one.
Yes.
Because, Chair...
You see, the question by Senator Kamar is not a bad question, but it is deviating from the concern of the people of Nairobi. Chair, when we have our governor here, allow the people of Nairobi to get answers before we get broad policy conversations about how many bank accounts a county needs. Let us finish with the question that is on the table, on why we have picked this small bank over the big banks.
Chair,
I personally would want to see that correspondence from these various entities that, in fact, we got a better deal from ZD.
Okay, we'll give you
Governor, when you sit in that office, we know you have powers to make administrative decisions.
Yes.
But you have a responsibility to explain yourselves. We are not dumb people. We will understand. So let us just get a proper explanation.
Let him answer.
Chair, before he answers that question.
I'll give you the opportunity.
Chair,
so answer that
Chair, before he answers that question, please. You see, the governor talked about benefits. Let him tell us also the risk involved going to smaller banks.
Okay.
Yes.
You have
definitely.
we are already on time, but I'll give you 5 more minutes.
Chair, you know what Senator Sifuna is asking? Provide us with documents.
No, okay, I'm here. I understand you very well.
Yes.
We'll ask. I'll give that as a final thing.
Chair, first of all, that was not a question in the committee, but we're happy to answer it because of transparency. It's a Kenyan institution. I don't think any bank should be discriminated against. The procedures were followed. The PFM talks about how accounts are opened by counties. That was followed. I don't think anyone has a greater right, or any institution has a greater right. There is no law that says bank with equity or with co-op or with cooperative. So long as you looked at the risk involved and the deal, a better deal to the county in terms of processing, salary etc., we're confident about that, and it's a decision that we've made. Chair, the number of banks that a county can open, you're the ones who have legislated on it. You have said, number one, for instance, for every health facility, open an account. So if you have 300 hospitals, you'll have 300 accounts. It is in the FIF law that you passed. You've said if I have 500 hospitals, there'll be 500 of those accounts. Every facility will require to have an account. But there are certain accounts that the PFM has specifically said that you must open at the central bank. So it provides which ones must be at the central bank. Your CRF, for instance, must be at the central bank. Certain donor projects, have their own regulations of where you bank, and they say we want you to bank with this type of a bank. For instance, RMLF, you must open an account at the central bank, and so it is all within the law. It is all within the law. So that's why I'm saying the Senate should be clear. When colleagues, and I'm not one of those who've been vilified about the number of accounts, because you see it in the paper that Governor X has opened 200, 300 bank accounts, and you assume they're his accounts, yet they're for facilities, and you've passed it. You've said for every hospital have its own account. You're the ones who said it. So you should also be able to explain. And I think the Auditor General and COB need to see eye to eye on that point. So Chair, I think that's what I've answered. If you need any more supplementary documentation, we're very happy to provide, because we've done everything above board and properly. And if it comes as a question through the Senate, we'll be able to provide all of those answers.
Yeah. The only reason we brought this issue up, as I told you, Governor, I had already written to the office. I have not gotten any response. And when we meet, I would want always to insist that our discussions are formal so that everybody can see the conversations that are going on. It is a concern. You move from a bank that has an asset base of 1.9 trillion, for instance, with customer deposits of 1.4 trillion. A bank, Governor. If we were a bank, what is the total asset base for our city? It's in the trillions of shillings, So it doesn't make sense. It's an administrative decision, yes, but we would want to see that conversation. I really doubt that a bank that has a customer base or deposit base of trillions of shillings would not be able to extend those facilities.
Oh, they completely refused. Completely.
Okay. That's what we're saying.
They completely refused.
I think
we just need the evidence.
We'll show you.
That is all we are saying.
Yeah. Chair, I'm worried that a number of our questions have taken us off the questions on the list, to the extent that we have not reached 50%. I would suggest that we go through so that we don't reinvite on the very questions. If we have to finish in an hour, we allow the governor to go through what we asked him, then we get our comments, then we finish, because we are at item 5 of CIDP, and we still have another more than, we are not 50%. So if we can allow him to go through all the remaining, then we can make comments.
I thought you have done almost everything.
We have, Chair. And in fact, that question arose out of a conversation we had here about the collections from the hospitals. So all we are saying is that we should see the evidence. I doubt anybody sitting on that side banks with CDN. I'll be very shocked.
Chair, let's not personalize this question.
Chair,
I'm just saying.
You know, I don't know what grade the senator has.
Chair,
Can I just say?
It's not fair for the senator of Nairobi to take over the committee.
Please.
Please allow us to go through our program the way.
Maybe
this is not about Elgeyo Marakwet. This is about Nairobi. When your governor is here, you will take over
we also live here. We also live in Nairobi.
She's not from
What
So
we are
you are
saying
not
is-
answerable to the
She's not
people.
from Elgeyo Marakwet.
Who do you answer?
We cannot
You don't answer to the
we
people
cannot
of Nairobi.
allow
Order,
the
please.
senator of Nairobi to divert us
No.
from our
I
agenda.
understand you,
So as a committee chair, can
Mheshimiwa
you
Kamar.
guide us and we finish our agenda?
Chair, I don't think
not
anybody
fair.
in this committee should be a gatekeeper for anybody.
Correct.
We are here to get the facts,
I
and the
have-
facts will set us free.
I know for a fact Kamar doesn't bank with CDA.
Order.
I know you don't bank with
I
CDA.
don't.
You can't
But
put
what I'm
public money
saying
in
is,
places where you can't put
why
your private
are we
money.
insisting on number 5? We still have questions that have not been answered.
No. Wait, hold on.
Chair, I
Allow
think-
us to finish.
Okay, order first. Switch off your mic first, Professor. Please, with all due respect. Well, Professor, please switch off your let's have some normalities. What is the issue? The issue is we're almost done. It's the only thing I'm seeing is this business to do with the Dish County School Feeding Program.
Exactly.
That's what you're asking. Can you ask your questions just so fast? Because now our time is over. Please do that. And our colleagues have walked out. There's no problem. Proceed.
Are we asking questions before he presents them?
Yes, he has given his presentation. I think he has finished, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, okay. Just ask him all. He has done his presentation, all of them.
Or should I go back to the...
No. Chair. If you have
I think he did talk about those
But
things.
Chair, by the way, just for for the record, I think characterizing institutions is not a fair thing.
No, that's Is that all thing remaining now? Okay, please just be a bit. Just give us a brief.
Yeah, the answer is a bit long. We've annexed Annex 8. Gives a report.
I've already answered it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Annex 8. It provides the source of the funding, the start date, and the amount of funds spent. I'll just give you a summary, Chair.
Please give us a summary.
Chair, as part of our priorities, we realized that too many children in Nairobi are out of school, or were out of school because of hunger, urban hunger. And so in the last few years, 2 years, we've been able to construct 17 kitchens. We have a program that feeds 316,000 children every day at 5 shillings. We have now surpassed 60 million meals. Consistently every day, school enrollment has gone up by a huge percent. And attendance and performance has gone up. Chair, the specific question was on what we have been able to spend on the program. I'll have my chief officer open it. The annex. And I think there was a question on the construction of the kitchens. Which were all done. In fact, there's even one very close by from here. Where's Annex 8? So, Chair, if there are specific questions emanating from it, I've presented. You have all of it in terms of the opportunity, the impact, which is very big. In fact, this model is now being replicated across the continent by World Food Programme. They have felt that it is the best model in urban areas. Cindy McCain, the executive director, was here, and she felt that it's a best model because it's also in a dignified way. Children are not removed from the line. They wear this watch. This watch is an NFC device called Tap to It that you check and you can see the wallet, how much has been put in by a parent. So parents who are spending close to 200 a day per child today are spending 5 shillings. And so it has really, really boosted enrollment. But also now there's a backlog of people who want to join our schools. I was talking to one head teacher who tells me he has a waiting list of 6,000 parents who want to join. And so that's what new. And that's why we're doing affirmative action. We're building more classrooms in Nairobi. Last year we put 1 billion shillings for 5,000 of government through CDF and 1.5 by the county. This year there's going to be another addition of 1 billion shillings because that is the target that we do next, now 2 years left, Chair. Too many children in Nairobi don't go to formal schools. They go to informal schools, which are called APPET, which is Alternative Provision of Basic Education and Training. Those schools are not the ideal school, you know. And there's been a great disservice. Nairobi, with 7 million people, having only 210 primary schools, or 211, is a real shame. I know Senator Kamar can list for us the number of schools, even just in the constituency when you're a member of parliament, close to 150 or 140, you know, per constituency. So that backlog is what we're aiming at, because a lot of what we're doing is what happened to this city. In 1992, when the national government lost grip of the city, when multipartyism came, there was zero investment in the capital in terms of infrastructure, schools,